My friends, Star Wars is broken. Yeah, it's pretty messed up, and I'm not sure if there's a way out of this. With the release of the Acolyte, unless you live under a rock, you have no doubt been seeing this response. It's basically, once again, torn the fandom down the middle, and for those of us that are kind of in the middle, it leaves us with no place to go, and it leaves us very confused as to, like, where we fit in. If you're anything like me, or you're around my age, like, I grew up with the original trilogy. I loved those movies. Star Wars has always been a massive part of my life. I had the prequels come out. I got to see those in theaters as they came out. And then I got the sequel trilogy, and my journey is pretty well documented on that whole entire experience. And I've had some really big issues with Disney Star Wars, especially concerning the shows that have come out. In particular, the Book of Boba Fett and the Kenobi show. But there are also some really amazing things that have been released that I've just been absolutely psyched about. Star Wars Visions, the Tales of the Jedi, Andor, and The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 specifically. And as a guy who just enjoys watching Star Wars, I was excited for the Acolyte. I was excited to sit down and watch it, and I'm gonna continue to watch it. If you go back here on my channel and you watch my reactions, you'll see that I've been having a pretty okay time with it. I'm really not a person who spends a ton of time obsessing about lore and this or that, and I know that there are a ton of people out there that love Star Wars so much, and they're just freaking out at every little thing that might have an influence on the movies that they love so much. But spoiler here, just because these twins had some sort of immaculate conception doesn't do anything to Anakin's arc for me, because when I go watch the prequel trilogy, or when I go watch Darth Vader in 4, 5, 6, I'm not thinking about the Acolyte. I would never be thinking about the Acolyte. None of that stuff connects. And you know, when it comes to the Kenobi show, the reason that one disappointed me so much is the connection, that straight through connection to the prequel trilogy. Bringing back Ewan McGregor and having it kind of be a ticky-tack show. But when I go back and I watch Revenge of the Sith, I'm not thinking about Kenobi. It didn't ruin anything about the prequels or the original trilogy for me. That's also the way that I treat the sequel trilogy. I love Luke Skywalker, I love Han Solo, and what they did to those characters in those movies, I actually quite enjoyed. But what happens to Han Solo at the end of Force Awakens has a major impact on Ben's story, on Kylo Ren's story. It has zero bearing on what I think of Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back. Zero. I'm not watching Empire Strikes Back going, God, this guy's gonna get killed on a bridge someday. That sucks. I just don't think like that. I'm more of an optimist, and so when I go into watching these shows, like, yes, episode 3 of The Acolyte was definitely a bit strange, and I'm not gonna sit here and shill and tell you, like, oh my God, it was the best thing in the world, because I truly didn't think that. I thought it was just kind of like a middle-of-the-road episode. Didn't change any of my thoughts about the things that I love about Star Wars, but I still am curious to see where this show goes. And so seeing the fan reaction to this episode, this sort of Last Jedi reaction, has me a bit annoyed and confused, because I listen to both sides of this argument nonstop. Like, I'll go watch Star Wars Theory or The Critical Drinker, and then I'll go watch Grace Randolph or John Campea talk about this. And there are a lot of really insane, really bold, really harsh takes on either side. You have Grace Randolph saying that she's fine with people tuning into her reviews as long as they like the episodes, or at least if they can tolerate them. And then on the other side, you have Star Wars Theory saying, I don't know if I can like this because I think they just want me to be gay. And it's like, what the hell? How did you get that out of this episode? I understand there's all of these mothers and they're doing this stuff, but like, if you're going into it with this approach of the comments that Leslie Headland made and all this stuff, like, it's just gonna ruin your experience. Just sit down and watch the show. And if you don't like the show, don't watch the show. Like, what annoys me about that side of this argument is the Critical Drinker, for instance, this YouTuber, he's gonna sit down. He's already reviewed the first 3 episodes. He's putting a thumbnail of a heavyset dude that's in the 2nd episode of The Acolyte, and he's making fun of him, like, broadly in the thumbnail. So that alone kind of pisses me off. But then he goes on to rag on all 3 of these episodes and just destroy them. And so in my head, I'm like, dude, this is not benefiting you at all. This is just bringing you down, bringing you negativity, and like ruining your life, clearly. So any normal person would think that you would just stop watching that show. Like, if a show pisses me off that much, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm just not going to watch this. That's not worth my time. But I guarantee we're going to see him review episode 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8. And that is just, that's insane to me. And it's clearly just for clicks. And obviously this is a career. I'm a YouTuber. I know, like, I'm in this to hopefully go full time someday. That's what I would like. But I'm not willing to completely abandon all respect for the audience in order to do that. And then on the other side of it, with like, I mean, really the main example I have for this side is somebody like Grace Randolph, because she's so over the top kind of shilling for this show that it's just unbearable. Like, not acknowledging that there clearly is a problem with Disney Star Wars. There is one. Like, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, there is one. Their stock is plummeting right now because there isn't enough heart and soul being put into these projects. Like, this is Star Wars. It could be so much better. And I realize that. And I think that if people actually went about sort of protesting and raising their voices and acknowledging and criticizing these things in a tactful way, maybe some sort of change can happen. But what's happening right now is this back and forth butting head of Disney, Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni versus these fans. And they're convincing everybody that all of these fans are just like homophobics and racists and it's terrible. But then you have everybody on the other side that are not helping the situation because they're throwing gasoline on the fire. But some of the people that are making videos or some of the people that are reviewing these shows are truly just in it to see what the show is about. And that's the category that I fall into. And that's why I'm having a hard time kind of navigating this Star Wars thing on YouTube, because it is a reason why I got into YouTube in the first place. I wanted to talk about Star Wars. And now I don't know how to even approach it because I don't want to be grouped into one of these sides. One of these kind of disgusting echo chambers that's kind of peeked its head over the surface and now it's just fully encompassing like the entire narrative. It's disgusting to me, like the way that some of these people talk about it. Again, I understand that there are problems here. It's very clear. But if somebody likes this show, like, I mean, what is it to anybody? Like, let them enjoy this thing. A ton of people put a ton of work into this show just for people to enjoy it. And so, yes, this isn't exactly what some people want or like, but like, let other people enjoy it and then just go find other things that you enjoy. If Star Wars truly is dead for you, then just stop watching this new Star Wars and go watch A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Like, that's a hell of a Saturday. And don't let these shows trigger you, and also don't let the conversation sway the way that you judge these shows. If you're against the people that, like, hate The Acolyte and are making all these crazy thumbnails, like, The Acolyte is trash and all this stuff, don't overcompensate by making your review or making your video and just ragging on those people, because, again, it's just antagonizing the entire situation. It doesn't need to happen. Film and television is a medium that's meant for entertainment, and if this thing is not entertaining you, just back off of it, you know? I'm going to be continuing to watch The Acolyte because I truly am invested at this point. I don't know what the heck is going to happen within this show with these characters, and there are a bunch of episodes left, so obviously I'm going to sit back and watch it. Nothing has turned me off from it to where I've been like, okay, I don't really want to watch it. The only thing turning me off from Star Wars in general right now is just the broad conversation, is just the fact that so many people get online every single day and just sit and talk about how awful things are. It's just a TV show with a creator that was trying to tell a specific story. X-Men 97 was no different. It just had much better writing. I will say that flat out. And did we hear any of this talk surrounding X-Men 97? No, we didn't, because it was a fantastic show. Unfortunately, this show so far hasn't been the craziest thing in the world, but who knows? That's why I'm going to keep watching it. Maybe it gets better. I'm making this video with the intention of ranting and venting today, because I felt like I needed to, and I hope there are other Star Wars fans out there that understand where I'm coming from. The situation is just sounding like a red alarm at this point, and I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe the Star Wars is trash now crowd is going to get their way and Star Wars is just going to like die, or maybe, just maybe, they're going to listen to the audience, hopefully, for once it seems like, and maybe they're going to start to adapt. We'll see. All I know is that Andor Season 2 is going to come out eventually, and I know it's going to freaking rule, so like, I'm not that disappointed. It's all good, and I hope that everybody out there can just chill. Try to relax. Life is hard, and we all need a lot more positivity. The work week and things like that can be hard enough, and then you go online just to see more negativity. And I know some people maybe they just feed off that type of thing, but I certainly don't. I love positivity. I love optimism. And so the way that I see this show is it has a lot of potential right now to get better. And if it is awesome, that's going to be awesome. If it isn't, it's not the end of the world. And if the studio decides to adapt and start changing, I would be ultimately very happy because, again, I'm not satisfied with where things are with Disney Star Wars, but it is what it is. I have zero control over it aside from making these videos and giving my honest critique of what I see. Not swayed by this side or the other, just swayed by my life experience and what I see on the screen when I watch it. So that is my rant for the day. I hope all of you out there are doing well. Peace.